Hello, good evening, happy Wednesday. It is 7 p.m. Finally, in the spring and summer, it is actually bright enough out to do anything. I'm over here on the backyard caring page instead of the Golf Tool Library because we're having some technical issues with that account and it won't let me stream. So yeah, I'm here on backyard caring and we're gonna do it here. Today we're talking about dandelions. I have a bunch of recipes and stuff planned. I'll be linking this to the Golf Tool Library page. Some loud neighbors. Yeah, I'll be posting it over there, so if you missed it and didn't notice that I was streaming over here, you can watch it over there in real time. I would totally do it on the proper page, but it's not letting me. So yeah, let's get right to it. Won't be a long one. I think I'm gonna put this back on the tripod. Just give me a second there. Getting some of my planters ready. Haven't quite decided what I'm gonna do. I've got some lemon thyme, which not only smells great, but the color and look of it I always really like, and it does quite well in a planter because it's likes being dry, relatively dry. And then some really cute violas. They're this neat color that I really liked. This one looks kind of cool. All right, so we're talking about dandelions. I am both pro and against dandelions, I guess you could say. I think in the right context, in the right place, they are really awesome. They're a great source of food for pollinators, and they taste good, but you know, in my garden, they're not welcome, so I'll just get them from somewhere else. I've been leaving a couple out in the garden that I'm going to show you how to remove, whether that be because you want to weed them out of your garden or because you want to eat them. And we're going to do both at the same time. So I've been saving these out here for this live stream. I don't have too much weeding to do, but I've got these really nice big ones that I want to harvest. These plants are pretty young. You can find ones definitely with bigger leaves and stuff, but this will do. At the base of the plant, we have some buds, which look in pretty good shape, and I'm going to talk about how you can use those as well. But yeah, my tool of choice is a steak knife. If you watch my videos in the past or before, you'll know that I prefer this as my tool. It's got a serrated edge, little slender sharp thing, great for weeding. Dandelions, unlike some other plants, have one taproot, and it's important to get most of that out if you want to actually eliminate the plant, but also a really clean removal. I don't want to deal with a bunch of dirt when I'm going to be collecting this for eating purposes, and also I don't want to take dirt away from my garden if I'm weeding. So basically, I jab down beside the base of the plant, like almost all the way down. I twist, and I can feel the whole thing pop. Give it a bang on the ground. There's actually 3 plants there. I try to keep all the leaves facing up so I'm not pushing any dirt into them. So I'm not stepping on anything. But yeah, those are basically harvested. I'm going to keep them facing down so any kind of bugs that are in there can fall out. They can stay right there. And then this guy, same thing. This is a bushier plant. Heard this little pop. Out it comes. This is just one big plant. It did rain today, which is also great for pulling weeds. I probably could have taken more of the root of this guy, but I'll do it on the next one. It's actually a lot easier to pull weeds because the ground is nice and soft. Let's see if I can get more of this one. I'm trying to stay perpendicular to the root. Oh, no, didn't get a lot of it, but that's okay. This is probably enough for what we need in the kitchen. So I'm going to take those. There's a couple more I guess I could harvest. I don't know if my Wi-Fi will stand, but let's see, this is a pretty big one. All right, a lot of leaves. But there we go. I've got my pile of dandelions. And we can't forget, I mean, I have a use for dandelions. They're completely edible, not only by humans, but by my chickens as well. So none go to waste. I just get a couple more smaller ones. And those are going to be for the chickens. This is for us. Any extra, I'll just give to the chickens. Gonna leave that on the table. We're gonna feed this to the girls. All right, girls. Let's show them how much you like it. Yep, just like salad to them. And of course, it's a bonus with them if there's any bugs. But yeah, I just do a whole day of weeding and toss them in there, and they're usually pretty happy. Okay, on to our next step. So we have enough time to do some of these recipes. I'm going to give these a good shake. For anything else that might be in here, I do recommend picking things in the morning because the bugs won't be around using it just yet. And anything that is out will be moving pretty slow because it's usually pretty cold in the morning. Instead of the evening when bugs are kind of resting in there or getting their final work done. Now, it's kind of loud in here because I have... It'll balance there. Perfect. I've got a dehumidifier, not dehumidifier, what am I saying? A food dryer, dehydrator going with some dandelion root. As for these guys, let me just flip this around. Now there's quite a bit in here. This is a bit extra, but super cold water. We don't want to blanch them in any way. I'm gonna clean them upside down. I don't want to push the dirt the other direction as they're kind of go with the flow, go with the nature on these. I've got a little drying rack beside here. I really want to make sure any kind of bugs or fluff or anything is out of there. I think I'll probably need that many because I do have some already ready. But yeah, I'm gonna hang them down like this. And if you do keep the roots on, and there's somewhere you can pull them and get the roots to use them, hang them like this, and you can actually bundle them together that way. And that's really handy. Really bang them out. I'm not too worried. These came from pretty clean spots, and I know that it's away from areas where there might be dog pee or something on them, or chemicals. These are all from pretty clean spots, so if you know somewhere like that, that's the best place to get them. Side of the highway, like a really busy, gross street, maybe not so much. The cracks in the sidewalk, beside where everybody walks, I don't know about that. Alright, this is pretty cold. It's freezing my hand off. But as you can see, we did get quite a bit off. I'm going to dump that out. And yeah, get one more. We got a leaf in there. I don't want one more rinse. Kind of laying them up together. These ones have some nice pink shoots. I don't know if that really means anything, but it's just a trait of this particular variety. There's a couple different varieties out in the quote-unquote wild. There are no native dandelions that are endemic to this area. They're all imported over 100 years ago. Pretty popular old school Italian green. And to the best of my knowledge, it was imported. And then really loved it here, and is hardy here, and doesn't mind the winter at all, and thrives in our climate. So now that those are all clean, I'm going to show you my little spread over here. I'm going to be making some dandelion pesto. I also have some dandelion flowers already picked. I wanted to talk about that briefly. I was going to make some jelly tonight, but I think it's just a little bit too much for the live stream because you really have to watch jelly. It can easily boil over and become quite a mess. Here we have some dandelion flowers. you know them well. You can kind of gauge the age of a flower by how open it is. This is obviously not a fully open one, but you can see in the middle there's kind of like some unopened petals in the center. Whereas this one has very few left in the middle, which kind of indicates how long it's been open. This one is fully open, which also means that pollinators have already been here to this flower and probably used a lot of the nectar. So we want to look for that in between where it still has some new stuff in the middle, still have some good nectar and flavor. If this will allow me to leave my tripod open. Still have my grow lights going, but we'll get back to that another time. Let's see here. Okay, that works. So I've got these guys. I've got quite a big bowl. You need about 2 cups to make, what's worth it, I would consider jelly-wise. Haven't quite rinsed these off or cleaned them yet, but we want to kind of avoid that, so they've been sitting in here. The thing I wanted to mention, and we can see at the base of a lot of these dandelions, are these flower pods or buds. And what you can actually do with those, once you've cleaned everything, is pop them off, maybe do a little bit of trimming. But these make really good alternatives to capers. If you want to make your own capers, I've done it with nasturtium pods, but dandelions also work. So you kind of just like removing the dandelion head itself, you kind of just pop them off. So before I use any of these greens, I'm going to look at that. Yeah, but these are smaller ones, so there's only one. So this was only going to produce 1 flower. That one had 3. This one has 1. Try to get them when they're not quite open. I think these might be a little bit too big because if you actually spread these open, we've got yellow in there. But this could still be useful for jelly purposes with the nectar. So yeah, save those little buds for making capers. I'm definitely going to try that. I don't know if I have quite enough, so I might keep those in the fridge and see if I can collect over the next couple of days. As for the flowers, when processing them, just going to push those guys back, bring over this big jar, put this big jar in the forefront. How about that? And show you how I prepare the flowers. You're going to need some small little scissors. And what you're going to want to do is kind of peel off that other stuff and cut above the end of the flower and get all of the green mostly away if you can. Some is okay, but it will affect the color of whatever you're trying to do. So that's a little bit tedious, but I think it's okay. For example, this is a good example of one we could experiment on. I'm going to zoom in, see if it'll focus for you, but I'm pulling back, don't mind my dirty nail there, pulling back that one part, and I'm going to cut over top of the jar to save some time, but I'm going to cut right there. Let some of the green in, but the rest is just the flower, and that has to be done to everybody in here before it's ready. So that's going to go in the fridge because I'm not ready and I don't want to make too much of a mess, because we are going to prep some of the greens for some pesto. Honestly, prepping them like any other vegetable is what you do. And stuff like this, I'm going to save that for the chickens. They will eat it. Or you can just put it in the composter. And actually, if you don't have a composter, you don't want to compost it, you want to do something extra, you can take any of the extra waste and boil it down into like a stew, let it cool, and use that as like a fertilizer on your plants, full of nitrogen. Obviously strain it. Got a little knife here. And the easiest thing to do is take that little root bud, straighten out the leaves, cut midway up, do a quick inspection. Yep, I like everybody. Next, we don't have too many, but I'm just making sure I'm straightening everything. I don't need the ends. I'm going to save those for the chickens. I'm looking for those little pods to use for capers. No one's watching this live, so that's cool. I can just relax, and you guys can watch this later. You know, those look all good. Another one, same thing. And I'm actually, to speed this up, I'm gonna grab a couple at a time and kind of pair the ends together, line them up. Like anything you want to cut evenly. And I'm gonna cut above that caper area anyway, so I don't really need to look ahead of time if I don't want to. I'm gonna cut off most of that stuff. There's just some, undesirable material up there. Quickly looking through that leaf, that's fine. These actually look pretty good. And it's to be noted too, these are only a couple weeks old. They haven't been growing all summer long, so I think the flavor, some people are afraid of the flavor of dandelion being pretty bitter. I'm actually going to unplug this dehydrator because I feel like it's affecting the quality of this video. I'll actually show you what's going on over there. In the dehydrator, a bunch of layers here. I've got some dandelion root. I did scrub it clean. Some people like to get the skin completely off because it is brown, but it's just the tannins from the soil. They're completely clean. I rinsed them and soaked them and rinsed them and soaked them. And I removed most of the smaller roots that would carry any kind of soil. And I basically they're in here, spread out until they are completely crispy and breakable. That's not a lot, but it'll make enough to make maybe 2 dandelion drinks or something like that. Yeah, they've been going most of the day at about 40 degrees Celsius. So could make them a little warmer, maybe make this process faster, but I don't want to denature them in any way. So they're just going to hang out in there. And back to collecting the greens. And I'll show you the ingredients for the pesto. That's kind of not something I want. We may have to we need about 2 cups of dandelion greens. Nice and high up. Oops, we cut right through bud, which is cool. You can kind of see the flower starting to form in there. And there's a nice big one inside that one. 2 actually, kind of. You can see how they start out. I don't know if I'm going to use that in the capers, maybe. I'm sure that they taste, I kind of want to try one, just to be brave. One of the caper things plain. It's not bitter, like I remember dandelions. I mean, a little bit, but not really. Kind of sweet, salady, I don't know. Tastes like you can just taste the nutritional value is a little bit higher. I don't know, something about, it's just more intense, like there's more flavor. It's a bit more dense, but it's fine. It doesn't taste too bitter. It doesn't taste gross by any means. I think if you had a handful of kale, it'd be about the same. Got some more of those little guys. I cut right at that point. There's some yuckies in here we don't want. I guess I can call them dandelion capers before they're actually turned into it, because that's what they are. Yeah. Just making sure that stuff is out. I need a little bit more greens, so I'm going to take that really large clump, shaking it out in the sink. I'm going to cut pretty high up because I can feel a bunch of the flower bits in here. Yeah, there's some big ones. Wow, this is like a whole other exciting element. I guess you guys probably didn't know, is the caper element. I'm not going to go out of my way and probably buy capers. So if I can make them out of something free by just brining them in the fridge, I'm going to do it. And I actually have some brine from when I made hot sauce in the fall. So I can use some of that, recycle some of that as like a brine on these capers. Because we just probably need to add a lot of salt. Capers are just like salty vinegar little nubs, and they're really good on many dishes. Maybe I'll make some vegan lox with dandelion capers, because love to be extra like that. Got some leaves from outside, but these are otherwise really clean. If you have a salad spinner, I recommend giving it a go. But yeah, that's probably enough. If that's not 2 cups, then woo. All right. what we're gonna do is add the greens. This recipe calls for some kind of nut. I have pepitas, which are the roasted pumpkin seeds you like on salad and stuff like that. Really good. I thought that would be good. Or we have walnuts, a little bit higher value nut. I think I'm gonna try the walnuts because this needs some, it's an intense flavor and it needs some creaminess. I didn't put any like nutritional yeast in this recipe. We're just gonna go for it with what this one recipe I found said. Maybe I'll do a second round with pepitas and do a comparison. I'm gonna put my dandelions back in the fridge. They just feel vulnerable. Put the capers in there. All right. Also calls for the juice from 1 lemon and half a cup of olive oil, some pepper and salt. I've already pre-mixed it. There's some pink Himalayan salt and some pepper, about an eighth pepper and like a quarter or half teaspoon of salt. 4 big cloves. I've got 5 kind of smaller sized garlic cloves. And yeah, that's gonna go in this food processor over here. I'm gonna take about half the dandelion leaves and all my ingredients over there, and I'll move you in a second. So I'll bring them all. I hope this tastes good. I've tried many different wild type pestos. If you have dandelions and you have garlic mustard or all sorts of different herbs you can use in alternatives to basil. Basil can be quite expensive and, you know, it's not the easiest to grow per se if you're a beginner. So yeah, I feel like putting half the ingredients kind of in. I'm going to leave it on chop instead of puree just yet. Maybe 2 garlic cloves, half the nuts maybe. I'm going to put all the salt and pepper, all of the lemon juice. We need some liquid to get this going, and then it can grab the rest. Maybe about half the olive oil, maybe a little less than that. Starting to get dark here, and I can hear the chickens coming inside. Maybe an extra one of those. And yeah, so we gotta plug it in. That would be one of the steps. There we go. All right, chop doesn't look so great, but it will in a minute. Make sure the rest of the lemon juice in there. Put the rest of the olive oil. Should make a fair amount of pesto for a couple of meals. If you use it like pasta covering or like the base of like a caprese salad. Gonna add another bundle of these guys. I think I maybe have too many, so we're not gonna put too many. I am gonna post a bunch of recipes that go along with dandelions and how to make them. Maybe post some more videos of these. Taste really good. Part of my fear is that they won't taste very good, and then I'm like promoting a recipe that isn't very good, so we're just trying. Very light color from maybe amount of garlic, I don't know, but we're going to put some more dandelion in, the leaves I should say. Of course, these are nice and young, fresh leaves, nothing that's been battered and old that might have a bit more bitter flavor. Again, it's kind of light, which is interesting. Maybe it's too much garlic, I don't know. But my instinct says add more dandelion. So that's what we shall do. It could be too, like once you fluff up olive oil, it's kind of light colored. All right, that's all of it. Try to make sure the stems aren't sticking out and holding on. All right. So this is our dandelion pesto. It looks a little bit light. I'm gonna maybe push down the sides. The texture feels good. Could be too that it was the walnuts, but there we go. It tastes really good. I mean, it's packed with garlic, but the dandelion leaf flavor isn't what stands out per se. Yeah, it's pretty good. All right, well, that was one of our first cooking things of the year with local produce, aka wild dandelions and some stuff. And I'm sure there'll be a lot more things coming up, but I definitely recommend you try some dandelion pesto. I'm gonna have this on some homemade pasta later. That was really good. It's really good. It's good. I don't want to like get it stuck in my teeth, but yum. It's good. It's not basil pesto. I definitely could add some Parmesan or nutritional yeast for a bit of flavor difference, but it doesn't need to be totally masked, and it's good. And I'll make some capers and some jelly and post those recipes, maybe some dandelion lemonade, different things I've seen, and see if you guys want to try it. Send me back the pictures. I'll post them, talk about them. Yeah, there's a lot we can do with dandelions before stuff in the garden is ready for us. So ready for us to eat, that is. So yeah, I will see you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. And I don't know, I'll release some kind of topic that we're talking about on Monday or so, maybe Sunday. If you have anything you want me to cover, let me know and I will try to do that. So have a really good night, guys. Bye.